Hey everyone, welcome to day 29. I'm Gaurav and today we'll be learning how to build an e-commerce app. We'll be using Material UI, we'll be using Redux Toolkit, and we'll also be using the routing component which we have been working on for the past two sessions. All right, so let's get started with today's session, right? Okay. So the first thing that we'll do is we'll create our template. So pnpm create wheat. We'll call it as ecom app. We'll use React. We'll use JavaScript. Not this. Okay, let's open this in VS Code. Pnpm install. You can use any other package manager as you like. I'm using pnpm. You can use either npm yarn or pnpm itself. All right, the installation is done. Let's see if everything is working properly. Okay, so let's open this URL. So everything is working fine. uh, and we can see this setup, right? All right, let's clean up some of the code. I hope you guys are excited for this session. We'll be building the e-commerce app over a couple of sessions. This is just the the first part, and over the next few sessions we'll be building a pretty significant e-commerce app, right? So let me get rid of some of the things which are not needed. And you guys can let me know in the comments how you guys have been doing. Uh, how's the how are the mini projects coming up, and how are you guys finding React? A lot of you since the beginning of the course have been waiting for this. Whenever we were working on vanilla JavaScript projects, you guys used to ask when are we beginning with React. So finally we have started. So let me know how has it been going. Okay, the basic cleanup is done. All right, I'm glad to read that you guys are very excited. Um, okay, that's great. So the first thing that we'll be using is Material UI. Let's check it out. What is Material UI? Material UI is basically a React uh, component based library which is built on top of Google's Material UI design, right? So it all of the components are built using keeping in mind the Material UI guidelines. So let's look at the installation. All right, so let's copy this. So under the hood, it uses emotion React, right? And emotion style. So if you remember in the past few sessions, we have been using emotion, right? So you guys are already familiar with that library. This uses that under the hood. And we have a lot of components over here, for example, autocomplete. And you can see, so it gives us built-in components which are following the guidelines of Material UI, right? And all the components are there. We'll be importing those components and providing our own options. Suppose you want to use a button. So these are the different types of buttons available: text, contained, outlines. You just make use of the button component. If we take a look at the source code, we are basically using the button. We're giving different variants, and this is the text for that. Okay. So it's a pretty straightforward library. You have different components, you import them. There are certain props available. You specify values for those, and it basically gives you the desired output. And one of the benefits is that you get theming out of the box. So let's take a look at that as well. Let's see, we have, where is it? Customization, we have theming, and so you have different options available. There is a default theme provided by them, and we can build on top of them, right? um, we'll see how all of this works, and we also have the dark mode and light mode by default, so we'll see a few of these things. And yeah, we'll get we'll look into all of those things. Let's install the library. Let me copy this. Okay, so I'm using pnpm, so I'll replace this by that. So we are installing material UI, emotion, and emotion style. The next thing that we want to do is we want to enable the font which is used by Material UI, which is Roboto font. So let's add that as well, and then we'll be adding these import statements. Okay. So there are some missing peer dependencies, but we don't have to worry about these. It's fine if you're getting the this error. It's not relevant as of now. Okay, and let's add the Roboto font. And I'll just copy this statement, add this to main.jsx. We can also use Google Web Fonts by adding this link statement, but since we're using a package manager, we'll use this approach. Okay. Uh, so it also has a built-in icons library. Let's include that as well. And so you can see you can just press Command K, or if you're on Mac, or maybe Control K, or for Windows you can see based on your operating system. It opens this search dialog. You can just search for icons, and then it will take you to this page. And suppose you want to use a shopping cart, for example, something like this. And all you need to do is just copy this piece of line and use this component wherever you need to show this icon. So it's pretty easy. You have all material icons available, and different options available as well: rounded, outline, filled. uh, so all of this is available to us. Okay, so we have done the basic setup for that. Yeah, so we are done with the setup. Let's see if it's working correctly. Okay. So for that, what we will do is let's go inside app.jsx, and let's just add a button component. So import button from @material UI @MUI/material/button, and here we'll say button hello Devsnest students. Let's see. Let's do a refresh. So you can see that the default variant, which is text, so that is available. Let's try and change the variant over here. Let's set that to contained. So we have this button. So we can see that the library has been loaded and its component is showing up. There's another variant, outline. Let's try that out as well. So this is the outline variant for the button, and you can see that it's working. Okay. So the library setup has been done correctly and all of that is working. And I'm happy to read all the comments which are there. Uh, I'm glad that you guys are doing good. Okay, next thing that we'll do is we'll set up the routing. Okay, so for that we'll make use of the React Router DOM module. So we'll say pnpm add React Router DOM, and let's set up routing as well. So here what we will be doing is inside our app, let's create a router. Const router equals create browser router. So it's coming from this package. Do this, we will pass create routes from elements, and here we will return a route from React Router DOM. Let's give a path for this. Um, and let's display some element over here. So for example, h1, this is the index route. Then over here what we will do is we'll say return route provider, which is also coming from React Router DOM. We pass this the router object, and let's close this and let's try and refresh this. So we can see that we are getting the text. This is the index route. Now here what we will do is let's set up the project structure. Okay, so we'll create a folder known as pages. So we'll be having different pages. The first one is home. Then we'll be having a page for the cart. Okay. And we'll be having a sign, a login page. And I think for now, let's just stick to this. If we need more pages, we'll be adding them. And let's create another folder, not here, outside. Let's call it as components. So all the common components that we'll be needing, we'll be adding them over here. So let's create a component known as layout.jsx. Okay, so let's say component layout, and inside this what we will be doing is we'll be setting things up. So there is something known as a theme provider. We'll make use of that. We'll be creating a theme, and we'll be using the theme provider to provide that theme. So we'll use the default theme for now, and let's see how to do that. So we are going to import theme provider from material UI. Here we are going to say wrap everything in the theme provider. So this is a provider similar to how we had created one in the previous project, right? Uh, this is basically under the hood. It is using the use context, and whatever value that we set for the theme object over here, it is accessible throughout the app to all the children which are nested inside this provider. Okay, so it accepts a theme prop. So here what we will do is we will say that const theme equals create theme. Okay, and this create theme is also coming from material UI, and right now we'll leave it as empty because we want to use the default theme. Let's just provide this value over here, and for now let's just say this is what this is doing. Okay, so as of now you do not see any change, but suppose I change this theme to, there's a palette property which tells us what kind of color palette we're using, and we'll change the mode over here. Let's set the mode as dark. Hang on a sec, I need to add a couple of more things. We'll come back to this in just a sec. For now let's keep it as light, and then we'll see what happens when we change it to dark. And another thing that we want to use over here is known as CSS Baseline. Okay, so what this is doing is, if you remember, in whenever we start a new project, we were setting the box sizing as border box, and getting rid of all the margins and all of those things. So whatever are the industry standards, all of those are available in this CSS baseline. So we are setting this by default. It under the hood it uses normalized CSS. So let's see what this component is. CSS baseline. So it provides this component, and it fixes some of the inconsistencies across browsers and devices. Okay, and it provides a reset basically. So if you have ever worked with something like normalized CSS, which provides some default styling, so that all of the margin and padding and all of those things, they are consistent across browsers. So this is what that component takes care of. So that is why we have included this over here. And what else we want to show over here? We want to display a header over here, and then we'll have a main, and we'll have a footer over here, and we'll use our main to display the content. So displaying the content, and let's go inside our app, and here we let's specify that for this path the element that we want to use is the layout element. So layout, we have imported that, and let's see. So you can see that all of the margin and padding, all of that is not there, and we are seeing whatever the content was, whatever content was there for this route, it is showing up. And so let's style the app a bit more. What we want to do over here is we want to show a header and some content over here. So let's create a component. Let's call it as header. So what we're trying to build over here is basically something like this, that this is our layout, and we'll be having this top bar. Okay, here we'll be having the either you can have some icon or logo, or you can just display some text like ecom app. Let's use medium sized text. Okay, and then what we want to show here is a search bar so that you can search the products. Okay, and then we'll be having another section for the users info. All right, and here we'll be displaying some a list of products: product 1, product 2, product 3, and so on. So this is the kind of UI that we are trying to build. Okay, so all of this part, the search functionality, the name of the app and everything, all of this will come inside the header, and then this content will keep on changing. Okay, based on the route that we are at. So at the home route, we'll be showing all of the products, and then suppose you know we click on this, something like add to cart. Okay, so there's some button over here for adding this product to the cart, and we'll be having a basically a cart over here. This is the best drawing that I can do of a cart. It's too, anyways, just forget about it. So whenever we click on add to cart, uh, we'll be updating the count of the cart over here, and we'll be showing some information over here like title, uh, like the name of the product. We'll be showing the image for the product and the price and its description. Okay, so these are the things that we plan to show. So hang on, what, there isn't a undo button, never mind, add to cart. Okay, and we'll be showing the price, and we'll be showing the rating, and we'll be showing, yeah, so these are the information that we'll be showing regarding a product, and we'll be having multiple cards. So let's try and build this kind of a layout. Okay, so let's create a component header, and inside the header let's uh, add that bar kind of a thing. So for that we have a component known as app bar. Okay, so let's import that. Import app bar from at the rate material UI slash app bar. Okay, so we have the app bar, and inside that we want to display the toolbar, which is once again coming from material UI, and we'll make use of another component known as typography. So what this component allows us to do is that it allows us to I mean, by looking at this, you clearly understand that we'll be displaying some sort of text over here, and you can associate this typography component with different elements like a paragraph or a heading, um, any component which, I mean, this is just used to indicate that some textual content will come over here, and you can associate this component with a specific HTML element like a paragraph or a heading tag like h1 h2. So that is the purpose of this component. Okay, and let's add this component, and we'll call this as ecom, for example. And let's do one thing. Let's replace the header with this header. Let's see if we are getting the header or not. So you can see that we have this header bar, right? And this is available. Let's add some more things to it. So we want to say that this is variant for this is h6. Okay, so we are using the heading 6 for that. The color, we will say that it is inheriting from whatever is the default color, it will inherit that. And so there is some styling associated with this, right? So there's some built-in styling associated whenever we want to provide our own custom styling. So we'll make use of this property known as sx. So it allows us to override the system, I mean, it allows us to override these styles provided by Material UI, and we can provide our own CSS styles. Okay, so the syntax is similar to what we were using in Emotion, right? Here we'll just say that we'll say flex grow. We'll specify the value as 1 over here, flex grow 1, so that it's taking up the entire space which is available. Then the next thing that we want to do is we want to make use of another component known as icon button. Okay, and here we want to say that let's give a size for this. The size that we want to use is, so there are different sizes available. You can use large, medium, or small. Let's use large, and let's say area label. So this is for accessibility. So people who have visual impairments, and they use things like screen readers and all. So we make use of such attributes which tells the screen reader what this thing is. So you give some sort of a description over here. So we'll say shows cart items count, for example. And for this also we'll say color as inherit. And inside this we want to make use of the badge component. Okay, and here we will say that the badge content equals 1. We want to display the count as 1 right now. Why is this not auto refreshing? Okay, and this is the default icon for that. And here we will make use of the shopping cart icon. Let's do that over here. So import shopping cart. What is it? Shopping cart sharp icon from @MUI material icon slash material slash shopping cart sharp. Okay, and we'll use this over here. What happened? Why is it showing this icon? Okay, this is odd. Let me comment this for 1 sec. Yeah. Um. So now we're seeing the correct shopping cart icon. I'm not sure why it was showing that. Let me uncomment this. And inside the badge content equals one color. So there are different colors available like action, disabled, error, info, primary, success, secondary, and so on. We want to show the count in red color, right? So we'll make use of the error value. And here we will say that why is this not working? So icon button, am I missing something? We have the app bar, we have the toolbar. Somebody is saying cart is hidden. Yeah, we'll see what's the reason for that. And another thing that we want to do over here is that we'll make use of the box element. We'll put this icon inside a box, and let's import the box as well. And what we want to do is we want to say that the display uh, when we are in a small screen size, we are going to set the display to none. Okay. And when we are inside a medium sized medium sized screen, we're going to set the display to flex. Okay. And what we want to do is, so we have the icon button and we have the badge inside that. Let me just cross check all the imports. We are getting the item button from material, typography, toolbar, and badge. Oh, wait. We use the badge from the icons. This was supposed to be a component. That is why this is not working, because we messed up with the import statement, right? So we need to make sure that we're using badge from MUI material and not from the icons. And then this is coming from the icons. And let's see now. Let me just move this outside for a sec. For some reason, the shopping cart icon is not showing up. Oh, shopping cart, sharp, shopping. Okay, this is correct. Then shopping cart icon. And then let's use this over here. And we want to place this inside the badge. And okay, yeah, just let me move my image around so that you guys can see the screen. All right, thanks for letting me know. Okay, yeah, so the issue was happening because we had specified, right, that when we are on a smaller display size. We want to set this box to none. Right now I'll just remove it because we do want to see the image. Okay, so you guys can see the shopping cart is visible, and the badge, using the badge component we are able to show the count. Suppose I set this to 2, so whatever is that value, it is showing it over there, right? And similarly, I'll leave this to 1 right now. We'll figure out the logic for this. So this is our component for the header, and let's add another button over here, and we'll say that the size of this, we're getting this button from material UI, and let's display the text login. And we have to say color equals inherit. Okay, if you do not say that, you will not be able to read the text of it. Okay, and so we have the login button as well, and we have the cart icon and here we have just the name of the app. So you can either give another icon over here, or you can have some text, whatever you wish. I'm just leaving it as it is. Then the next thing that we want to do is we want to display some content, right? So this is the part where we will be displaying the content. So we will map the route for this. Over here, let's add a new route. We'll call this as the index route. We are going to provide the home element for this, not from material. We'll say home. Okay, I'll just import this from home from dot slash pages slash home. Okay, unexpected token. Yeah, I need to close this route. Okay, and what do we have inside home? We have nothing. Let's add some code. And we're not seeing anything because if we go inside our layout, we, okay, just a sec, let me just cross check. Does not provide an export named home. Inside app, yeah, this needs to be like this because this is using the default export, right? So it needs to be in this format. Let's refresh, and this is a nested route home, and this should have shown that text. Okay, right. So we are here. This is the component, but if you remember, in order to allow nested routes, we need to make use of the outlet, right? So we provide the outlet component from React Router DOM, and now if we do a refresh, yeah, inside the app, This is the index. So we have inside layout, then here we should be showing home. Let's just cross check once what's going on. Body, dev root, main. Yeah, so where is it? Okay, so it's going up here, right? So another thing that we have to do is inside our header, we have the app bar and we need to say position. We'll set the position to sticky. Okay, so there are different options available like static, sticky, relative, and so on. Let's make this sticky. And now you can see that the header is there, and then we are seeing the text home, right? And similarly, we'll be having a route for the cart. And let's save this and let's specify this over here. When the path equals slash cart, we want to render the cart component. And then when the path equals login, we want to display the login component. Okay, let's create the login component as well. Okay, let's try if these are working. So when I'm typing slash cart, it is taking me to the cart. When I'm typing slash login, it is taking me to login. Okay, so the basic routing has been set up. Now let's work on the home component, right? Where we want to display the list of products. So let's work on that. And here what we will be doing is let's specify that what we will do is we want to display the list of products over here, right? So for that we'll be making use of an API from the fake store, right? We have used this in the past. So we want to get all the products. Okay, and this is the function which gives us that, and this is the output which it will return. So we'll get an ID, title, price, category, description, image, and so on, right? So let's work on this functionality. So we have use state snippet products, set products, and initially we'll set it to an empty array. And here what we want to do is we will say we'll make use of the pre tag and we'll say json dot stringify products. We'll parse this as null and we want to use a spacing of 2. We'll do all of that. Let's go to our default route. Use state is not defined. Let's import that from React. So we're seeing this empty array right now. Let's see what the response looks like. Let's create a function async fetch all products, async function fetch all products, and we have this code from here. Let's copy this. Okay, and what we want to do is we will convert this into async and await. So const result, or rather response, equals this. We wait for this. Then once we have the data or the result, right? Let's say result equals await response. We want to convert this to JSON, and then finally we will say set products, whatever was the result, we'll set that to the products, and then we'll make use of the use effect hook. We want that this function is called only once for the only on the initial mount, right? So we'll say fetch all products over here. Okay, let's see. So we are seeing something like this. All right, and you can see that for each product we're getting an ID, title, price, description, category, image, rating. So these are this is the information that we're getting for all the products. And if you guys notice that since we had set the position to sticky, right, this header is sticky, it's sticking to where we had left it off. And we were also talking about the theme, right? So if we go inside the layout and we set the mode to dark, for example, so you can see that we have the dark variant for the default theme. Okay, so it's pretty easy to change the theme, and all of the components have a default theme. We can customize it ourselves as well. So let's go to, for example, material UI, and let's search for dark mode. And you can see that I just need to set this value to dark. Suppose we want to so these are all the dark mode themes, values which are there: text primary, text secondary, disabled, and so on. Okay, and you can also define your own light and dark mode values. So you can specify that the primary color you want to use as something else, the text secondary color is something, primary is something, and so on. And if you want to go by the user's system preference, right, so we can make use of this property use media query. This is a hook provided by material UI, and then we provide the value over here. And when we are creating a theme, right, if it prefers the dark mode, I mean, if this result of this is true, then we return the value as dark. Otherwise, we can return the value as light. Okay. And we can also have, where is it? I think there was an example over here. Yeah, something like this. You can also have a button for light mode and dark mode. And you can see the code example provided over here, that whenever the user is toggling on this, we toggle the color mode and basically change it over here. If it's light, then we return dark. If it is dark, then we return light. And we're providing that value over here. So you can do a lot of customization on your own. You can go through the documentation. I've shared the link uh, in the resources associated with this session, and um, you guys can check out the different things which are available. There's also breakpoints available. So we have these default breakpoints available for making the website responsive. So XS is for extra small, then small, And these are the dimensions which this is targeting, right? Medium, large. Medium is 900 pixels. So you can also customize these values also. So quite a lot of things are there. We'll be using some of the features, but it's not possible for me to cover everything. So you guys can go through this website and see their examples, see all of the different links which are available, and play around with this website, okay, and the examples. So if you guys have any doubts so far, we can take a short break over here. You can ask me in the comments if you have any doubts as to what we wrote, what we have done so far. Okay, so there's a question, what is the shortcut for the use state snippet and all of those things? So I think I had in the beginning of React, when we had started working with this, I had told you guys you can install this extension known as ES6, sorry, ES7. Uh, yeah, not this one. Where is it? ES7 Redux. Yeah, this one. ES7 React Redux React Native snippets. And once you install this, whenever you type so for example, we are inside login, right? And you need to make use of the use state hook. So you can just say use state and it starts showing you all of this. And when you hit tab, it auto completes it for you. Okay. And similarly, you want to create a component over here. So you say RFC and then you hit tab. Based on the name of the file, it will create this default structure for you. Okay, so all of that is coming from this extension. I hope that is what you were trying to ask me. And okay, asking about the import statement. It works by default. You just so for example, you want to use it over here, right? You just type login and it basically does that for you. And you hit tab, it will import it for you. Let me remove this for example, and you just say login like this. You are seeing all of these options, right? And you hit enter, it auto imports that for you. And the same is for the hooks also. If you say use state, right, you hit enter or you hit tab, it will automatically import that for you. I mean, it works out of the box for me. I'm pretty sure, I'm not sure if it's the same case for you or not, but it works out of the box. I do not have any extension installed for that, so nope. No, just some themes. uh no, I don't have any extension separate extension installed for that. It just works out of the box. And there were a few more questions. Is this bootcamp sufficient to get internship? Yeah, it is sufficient for you to get a job, not just an internship. So, I mean, right now we're just at the halfway mark where we'll be not the halfway, the two-third mark. So we have learned about DSA, then we are almost at the end of the front end boot camp. The next part will be back end. Once we're done with that, you will have a very good idea of what web development is. And if all you have to do from your side is keep on practicing building apps, building more apps on your own. So this is one of the big major projects, the e-commerce app. The next one is, there's another one coming up in probably, I mean, once we do this, there'll be a, we'll be focusing on a different topic, and then we'll be building another big project. So the front end part will be wrapped up after that. And I mean, it will give you the foundation. You will be able to showcase all of these projects. Once I mean, you can then, based on whatever you have learned over here, you can try and build more complex projects, or different, clones or apps on your own. That is the idea, right? You should be able to code on your own. If you're struggling, there's no problem, everybody struggles, okay? uh, just keep at it and you will reach your destination. All right. Okay, so let's resume now. So here we were trying to display all of these products, right? So the products are showing up. Only thing is that we want to style them. So if we take a look at what we had done over here, we want to display the title, image, price, and rating, right? So let's work on that part now. So here what we will do is we will make use of a component known as container, and we are specifying that this container has a padding in the y direction. Let's specify that value as 8. And what we want to say is that the max width for this container is that of a large device. The max that this container, the max width that this container will have is that of a large size device, which is around 1200 pixels if we look at the default breakpoints, right? And then what we want to do here is we will make use of a grid, and we will say that this is a container. So the grid is also coming from Material UI. Let's check it out. Grid. So you have different types of grids available. So you define a grid by specifying that this is the container. What is the spacing that needs to be there between each item? So spacing is 2, for example. Then we over here we have different grid items, right? So you specify the item prop, which indicates that this is a grid item. And this is basically specifying how much was the size of what is, how many columns will this grid item occupy. So by default, the size of a grid is that, I mean, by default a grid has 12 columns, and suppose we're saying that it occupies 8 columns. That means it will occupy I mean, this is basically occupying 8 of the 12 columns, and then this one is occupying the remaining columns, right? 4, for example. And this is just the opposite. This one is occupying 4, and then this one is occupying 8. And here we are also specifying, based on the screen resolution, how many columns should this grid item occupy, right? So you can give different breakpoints also. So if you're on a small screen device, this grid item will take up 8 columns. But suppose I want that this this, what do you say, grid item occupies, one sec, where is, oops, I accidentally closed VS Code. Let me reopen it. npm dev. Okay, suppose what I want is that when we are on an extra small device, the that particular column should occupy the entire grid, and when we're on a medium sized device, it should take up 6. So we can do all of that as well. Let's see how we can do that. So we are creating a grid container. We'll set the spacing as 4. All right. Then here what we will do is we'll say products dot map. We'll get a product. Let's destructure this. So we want the title. Let's take a look at what we're getting in the network. So we're getting all the products, and this is what the structure looks like. Let me copy this, and we'll just add this over here for reference. Let's go to responses. Where is it? Actually, let's view this in JSON hero.io. So this is the, one sec, this is the URL. Let's go to the response. Let's copy this and let's click on go. Okay, so this is what we have. Let's copy this. Let's paste it over here, and let's just identify the fields that we need, and we will be destructuring them. So we need the title, we need the ID, we need the price, and need the description and the rating. Okay, all right. And then here what we want to do is we want to uh, display another grid. So here we'll be displaying the grid items, right? Okay, let me collapse this. And this is our grid item. And inside this, what we want to say that the key for this is the ID of the product, Then inside of this, we want to display a component which is coming from material UI known as the card. Okay, so these are the different examples. Let's make use of this card component. Okay, we have something like this. There is some default code provided by it. A card has different sections like the card content, the card action buttons, and so on. So we're making use of card media to display the image. Then content is the part where we display, or I mean, this part is the content, right? And then for the actions, we make use of the card actions. All right. So let's add all of that. So here we'll make use of the card, and we want to say that and for this grid we want to specify that when it is extra small it should occupy 12 columns, and when it is on small devices it should occupy 6 columns. Okay, and on medium it should occupy 3 columns. Okay, so we have specified the size of this individual grid item, right? When it's on medium sized devices, it will occupy 3 columns, and on small devices, it will occupy 6 of those columns, and when it is on extra small devices, it will occupy the entire grid. Okay, then we're adding the card over here. Let's specify some styling for this height. We'll set the height as 100%, and we want to set the display to flex, not felx, flex. And we want to say that the flex direction is column. Okay, then inside this we have the card media, and let's specify the component that this represents is the image. Okay, this internally will be using the image tag. Let's style this. Actually, let's style this a bit later on. And right now what we want to say that the image, so here we specify the URL, which is nothing but the where is it, image. So we also need the image prop over here, so we'll set this to image, and we'll specify the alternate value for this, so that will be nothing but the title. Okay, let's see if it is showing the images. So you can see that we are seeing the images over here. And let's do one thing, let's go back to the light mode for now. So we have the images inside the cards, right? And let's go back inside our home. Then let's add the card content, card content. So we want to display some text over here, right? So we'll make use of the typography element, and here we will say that this will be using the h5 variant for this. Basically this will be equivalent of using the h5 tag. Then internally it will use the component, and this value for that, it will use the heading 2 tag. Then there's a gutter bottom, that means there is some space right after this. And let's give some default styling for this. So we'll come back to this as to what styling we need to show. And here we'll be showing the title. Then similarly, we have the typography, and here we want to show the description, and we have another typography for the price, and then we want to show the rating as well. So we'll make use of the rating component provided by Material UI, and we will specify that it is read only, right? We'll specify a precision. We'll take the precision as 0.5 so that you have half star ratings as well showing up. And let's see, the value is rating dot rate. Okay. All right, so we are seeing the image, we are seeing the title, we are seeing some description, we are seeing the price as well as the rating. So you can see that since we gave a precision of half, this component had this has 4.5 star rating, so it is showing up here. All right, let's style this now. So what we want to do is, let's style the image first. So we want to say align self. We want to center the images. So center. Then afterwards, we want to specify that the width for this is, we'll make use of the theme for this. So whenever we want to make use of the theme, we will say const theme equals use theme, right? And we want to say theme dot spacing, and so if we take a look at this, we come to the console over here, we have access to the theme variable, and if we do something like theme dot spacing, right, it is telling us the default spacing is 8 pixels. Suppose I specify 2 over here, it is showing up we'll be using twice of the default spacing. And suppose I specify 10, so it will be 10 times of the default spacing. So we'll use somewhere around 30 times of the default spacing for the width, and for the height as well, theme dot spacing, and we'll be using 30 over here as well. Okay, and then we want to specify that the object fit is contain. Okay, so all of the images are of the size, if we do 8 times 30, that is 240 pixels, right? So that is what the size of the image should be. If we hover over the dimensions, you can see it is 240 by 240, right? If we do not make use of the, what is that, object fit property, right, this one, so you can see that the images are becoming much larger. And if I set this to content, it is sizing it appropriately. All right, And here what we want to do is let's specify a padding as well. So padding from the top, and we will say theming dot spacing, whatever is the default spacing, we'll make use of that. Not here, we need to specify this here. Okay, so there's some padding from the top as well. And let's try and fix this. We want that all of the products have a similar size, right? So whenever this text is overflowing, we want to, clamp this. So let's take care of that. And here we will say that the overflow is hidden. Then we specify that the text overflow, whenever the text overflows, we make use of the ellipsis value. Then we say display, and we set this to WebKit box, and we make use of the line clamp property. So in order to do that, we say WebKit. Yeah, you can make use of the WebKit line clamp property, and we'll say that whenever the heading goes beyond one line, we want to, clamp. We want that particular line to just remain up to that, only a single line, right? And when the text goes beyond that line, the text will overflow and it will be replaced by an ellipsis, and the overflow is hidden. Okay. And we also need to make use of WebKit box orient, and we'll set that to vertical. So this is what is needed to make the WebKit line clamp property work. So you can see that whenever the text is going beyond the first line, it is being replaced by this ellipsis. And yeah, this is what is happening. Similarly, let's do that for the description as well. When the description goes beyond two lines, we want that particular text to be that overflow to be hidden and be replaced by an ellipsis. So let's do that. Let's copy this and let's add that to the description. And here we'll say that instead of one line, it takes two lines. All right. So this is what is happening here. And we want to say that this is using a paragraph element. So we'll specify this as paragraph. And we want to give this a different color. So we'll say color, and we'll say text dot secondary. So whatever is the value of the secondary variable in this theme, right, it will use that value for the text. You can see that it has a slightly it's slightly on the grayer side. Okay. And let's do some styling for the pricing as well. So we'll say font size, we'll say large. Okay. And this is a paragraph as well. and then we have the rating, and then we want to show a button, right, for add to cart. So we'll say card actions, and inside this we have a button from material UI. The size is small. Actually, let's use the icon button, or rather let's stick to, so there is a component known as icon button. Also, let's see what that does. Icon button. So this is for this functionality. Okay, let's see how this is working. So we'll say icon button, and here we want to say shopping cart sharp, and we want to display the text add to cart. So we are seeing this text over here, and actually let's use the default button only because this one doesn't have a variant. And variant, you want to say contained, so something like this. Okay, and for this we will say sx, and align self to the center. Okay, so this is what our components are looking like right now. Okay, and I think we have uh, pretty decent looking e-commerce, a product site right now. And the basic styling for this is done. We'll be adding more functionality as we move ahead, right? So we are seeing all of this information. Now the next thing that we want to do is whenever we click on add to cart, right, we want this count to increase. uh, and we'll be working on all of those things in the next session. So for this session, this is what we wanted to do. We wanted to set up the material UI library, create a header, understand how we can show icons, how to add buttons, how we can make use of a grid component, how we can add cards, uh, how we can override these styles which are provided by default, right, using the sx property. uh, if you want to make use of some styling information from the theme, you can do so. Suppose I change this to text dot primary, it will show it in that color, right? And secondary, so if you go to their documentation and you do something like theme dot palette, and here we have this, right, primary. So if you do primary, secondary. So these are the values, right? Primary and secondary. Success. Suppose I change this to text dot success, not just text dot success. If I change it to success, wait a sec. So we have text. Okay. We have text disabled, primary, secondary, and secondary channel. Let's try text dot disabled here. Disabled. And you can see that it is having an even more lighter color. So this is how you can use different values over here. So for example, warning uh, dot, suppose I use warning over here, warning dot dark or warning, so it should work over here. So warning dot dark, so you can see that this color has changed, right? So um, these are the different values that you can make use of, and you can play around with the theme. So you can go through the documentation and understand this in more depth. Now in the next session, what we will be doing is we'll be looking at Redux, and we'll be adding more functionality to this, add the search functionality, and add to cart functionality. All of those things we'll be looking at in the next app. I think for today's session this is enough. We'll stop here, and in case you guys have any doubts, you can ask me in the Discord channel right after this stream. So we'll end this here. Goodbye, take care, and I'll see you guys in the next session.